Hey everyone, what's up? So with A-level results now being published and the majority of you knowing where you're going to be going, it's high time to start preparing for university. But where should you start? Going to get this out of the way straight away, you're going to take far more stuff than you're actually going to use, particularly kitchen equipment. It is just going to happen. The issue you run into is that before you live there, you don't actually know what you're going to use and not going to use. So for first years, just let your parents fill up the car with all the things they think you might need, even if you don't think you will use it, and make a mental note for the following year, because at that point you'll know how you live when you live on your own. I can't sit here and tell anyone exactly what to pack because everyone's uni experiences are different, so just use your intuition. So almost every first year student will be in halls. When moving in, it's likely in your block that others that you're going to be living with are moving in at pretty much the same time. So my first bit of advice is to take the initiative and go and introduce yourself to those people. They might be the best people in the world or they might be the worst, but you will see these people over the course of the year, so it's important to at least try and make a good first impression with them. Chances are your hall will have some sort of social event almost immediately, so go to it. You might be extremely nervous going to this, especially if you've gone to a uni where you don't know anyone, but here's the thing, so is everyone else. You'll do yourself and those you speak to a massive favour by just talking to people, so try do that if you can. The faster you make friends, the faster you will feel comfortable. Freshers Week is one of the biggest social events of the year. This year might be different because of the social distancing measures, but if it goes in anywhere like it does each year, it'll be fantastic. The main point of advice is to just get involved and do everything you feel up to doing. Even if you don't drink, go out. The vibe at most nights is great, and you'll just meet loads of great people, some of who you might be friends with the entirety of uni. You just don't know. On a note of caution though, if you do go out, just make sure you know what you're putting into your body. If you don't trust yourself to stay in control, a lot of unis will have like fresher helpers who stay sober on nights out, and the majority generally will be helpful, so don't stress about it. Sports and societies are very important to me personally at uni and to a lot of other people. Sports-wise, you'll have all the obvious sports you would have probably played before, like football, rugby, netball, gymnastics, but be open to trying something completely different you might not have even heard of before. A lot of you wouldn't have played sports like handball, American football, lacrosse, etc. And they'll end up being amazing sports in their own right, so just take every opportunity you have. For me, the team sports were the best part of my year. Societies are also important for socialising, obviously, and there's such a wide variety that you would find a group of people with similar interests to you, and it just works out brilliantly. I myself didn't give enough time to go join a society in my first year, but things like the cocktail making and the magic societies would have been great for me if I had the time. So just check out all your options and don't just settle for things. I'm intending this to be a realistic guide and not an idealistic guide, so this is a prime example of what I mean. For a lot of courses, first year exam results don't count towards your final degree. So if you're going to mess around and drink so much that you miss morning lectures, do it in your first year. Seriously though, go to as many lectures as you possibly can, obviously. Don't stress about missing a couple here and there. It's really not the end of the world. Like, I missed my first lecture of the year and it really didn't matter. Sometimes you might have an early important lecture or tutorial, so when you're planning which nights you're going to go out, just pay attention to it and just get mildly drunk rather than absolutely paralytic. Other than that, just do you, to be honest. Like, you'll quickly work out what you need to attend and what you can actually afford to just catch up on later with. Now, as I've only done 1 year at uni, and it was very corona impacted, so I only had to deal with one actual normal exam period in January, but the exams worked very similar to everything that was done at A-level, generally. With some of the formats actually being slightly easier. So if you're worried about exams, don't. It's all good. I did think this type of video comes across as very one-dimensional, as I'm only talking from my own experience. So I asked a couple of my friends for their tips for first years. We'll go through them now. Have an open mind about who you can be friends with. Don't black out. Don't be silly. Wrap your nights in are useful for bonding. Go to all events. If you go uni with a friend, avoid being dependent on them to hang out with. Don't worry about not being close with your flatmates. Be careful on your first few nights out. Don't end up in hospital. So just to wrap it up, generally the best tips are get involved with things. If you do go out try to have fun, you will. Try to be confident with new people. It will make things so much easier. And you will generally develop a sense of what is and what isn't useful. So just trust yourself. If you have any other further questions or want any sort of advice, just post your questions or statements in the comments below. If not, have a nice day.